Hi everyone, this is the DRA support in KubeVirt design doc discussions. I'm going to share the agenda link in the chat. And I'm also going to share my screen and we can get started in a bit. Can you guys see my window?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so there has been some more discussion on this design document. I've put one topic here for discussion. If folks have other concerns, please add it to the agenda, but for now we can get started here. So just to bring everyone on board, I'll summarize the discussion quickly, and if I missed anything, folks, please jump in. So the main issue is we are looking at this VMI spec, and we are specifically looking at the request field here. So what the current proposal mentions the resource claim template name here and saves this pointer as the name of this resource claim, and then uses this pointer here in the claim section. But within this resource claim template, there could be multiple devices that could be requested. So in order to differentiate amongst the multiple devices within this template claim, there is a field called request name, which the user has to specify in this particular section. This makes the device, GPU device here, map 1:1 to a single device inside of the resource claim template. And then, the allocations can go through. KubeVirt can identify that this device is this particular request, and things can move forward. The issue is that within the spec, we are having two levels of indirection. One is for the claim name, and within the claim name, the other is for the request name, right? So that is a little learning curve for a user who is used to defining, give me Tesla T4 PGPU, right? In the device plugin world. So that is a quick summary. Folks, feel free to jump in if I misstated anything, and we can continue this discussion.
So you're asking, you're asking what?
All I'm asking is that understanding correct?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So I mean, I guess the problem that we are facing here is that it's obscure. I mean, what is being requested is kind of being obscured from the user, right? The user doesn't know immediately what he's requesting.
Yes. Yeah. So there are two. I would make two arguments here. One, this is not just a KubeVirt problem. This is the exact semantics that DRA API has in Kubernetes as well, right? The reason why they have made the API obscure in this sense is because there could be multiple requests within the same resource claim. They can then do things like these resources should be NUMA aligned or PCIe root complex aligned, which would not be possible if there would be a single request in a single template, and then you have to coordinate across the resource claim template to make that work. So there are some advanced use cases which we would not have right now, but are being considered in the DRA API. If we want to be prepared for advanced use cases where SRIOV NIC or RDMA NIC card is aligned with GPU on the root complex, or if you're doing a CPU DRA driver and you're doing NUMA alignment with device attributes on that, then we have to allow multiple requests within this resource claim template. So my question for Lubo and Vladek, I guess, would be, if we want to remove this level of indirection, are there any ideas which will allow us to keep multiple resources within this request and still make the API better?
So I guess you can have multiple requests, right? And then let me rephrase. So I guess you can have a multiple resource claims per pod or VM, and then each resource claim can have multiple requests. And I guess you can have requests with the same names across the resource claims, right?
Yes.
I mean, ideally, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's just what bothers me is that the this claim is referenced inside the GPU struct, right? I mean, if we would take disks and volumes, for example, right? What we would have in the GPU is kind of a parallel to a disk where we define what will be the virtual device, and then the claim would be equivalent to a volume where we actually define how the physical hardware look like. So, for example, if we'll take this request away from the GPU device and we will put it in the resource claim, and that resource claim still references the template, that would be more logical to me, or maybe not directly references the template, or referencing something else that references a template in the request.
I see. So, so what you're recommending is put this request here in the resource claim section. So now we have a pGPU name that is unique, and we can use this as a reference here inside of the GPU.
Yeah, so I think two main problems that we need to solve here. I mean, first of all, I would keep, like Lubo suggested in the past, that I would keep this device name, and that would reference the resource claim. So if there is no resource claim, that it would mean that we were talking about the previous use case, right? We're speaking about a device plugin, and when there is a claim, so inside that claim, we would specifically say, okay, that references a template, and what actually we're requesting from the template. So it will be clear what device do we want and where is it being taken from.
So yeah, I mean, that would essentially solve the problem, but now whatever user is using this, they have to learn two APIs. One is how we are presenting it in VMI, and one how how it gets translated to Kubernetes pod API.
Yeah, but I mean, Kubernetes, first of all, we're going to have it as a feature gate, right? So the API can change in the future, or it's like not set in stone. And then the second thing, I mean, we have it all over the place. I mean, we have it for dedicated CPUs, for different things. I mean, we would normally have a different philosophy I mean, not normally, but we are able to have a different philosophy from pods.
Yeah, I guess my question is that it's just a matter of reshuffling the fields. I am not sure if we are gaining much uh, in having users to, learning to different sets of APIs uh, in shuffling things around, right? I mean, if there was a use case which was not getting satisfied because of this, and for that a user has to learn two APIs, that would definitely make sense that we do what is the right thing for VMI. But in this case, either we put the request name here or here. Essentially it's the same thing, right?
No, not exactly, because I mean, right now we're asking for a GPU, and then we also need to reference a claim and some kind of a request that is hidden from there, and so it doesn't make any sense, at least to me. And then also it doesn't follow this notion where we have that we have with the volumes and disks with interfaces and networks. I mean, there's some kind of a philosophy that we follow across the VMI API structure. So for me, I mean, yeah, I want this virtual device, and it references that specific claim, and then in that claim there's a configuration of some sort. Okay, that's understandable to me, at least. And if I don't have that claim, then I just reuse the same struct to request the device directly with the device plugin.
Okay.
So there's no
Yeah.
change for the user. I'm talking too much, and I would like to hear others. So
So with that, you still need somehow reference what device from the claim you want, right?
So I think the idea is that we put this request name here. So we will have an exact, so this name will become a resource claim template plus a request reference. So this would be a pGPU claim request name. And then we use that pGPU claim request name here in the devices section to reference both the template and the request within that template. So I think one immediate issue that comes to my mind is that, let's say if you are planning on referencing 10 devices in this section, then you have to make 10 resource claims specifically for each section, each device, and then reference them here.
yes, I mean, I think it's essential, because I mean, right now the way this assumes is that one GPU doesn't allocate 5 GPUs or something like that, 5 resources, just one to one.
Correct. No, but what I'm saying is, so let's say if we have it the way it is right now, then you can use this same resource claim template, but reuse this claim for 5 different GPUs here, right? So it will be a slight like performant. So let's take the case we were discussing earlier where we have 50 GPUs, right, in VMI. So that would mean we are repeating this section 50 times for each independent request names, and then using the same thing here again, because we anyway need to reference the resource claim name here. That would make the API more verbose, is all I'm trying to say. If
Yeah, I mean, but it works exactly that if you have 50 disks, you would have to have 50 volumes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. What would be like if we did this with disks?
No, the difference between disk and this particular API is that within like a PVC object, you don't have multiple disks that needs to be referenced. But in our case, let's assume that we have a single resource claim, but it has more devices, which is not present currently in any of the modeled like PVCs or other devices, right? So there, if you have 56 storage disks, then it makes sense you make 50 PVCs and then you reference them here. But with resource claim, let's say you have a single resource claim with 50 requests, the only place where you need to mention this 50 times is in the devices section, not both in resource claim as well as devices.
So it kind of sounds like, yeah, okay, so you can't really, so DRA with GPUs, you can get away with hiding the abstraction because there isn't exactly a backend like with storage, it's a little bit different. Like I don't think you would have a PVC with 50 disks in it.
Correct.
That seems kind of weird. Like the life cycle of that, that doesn't really make sense. But for GPUs, you would. So like you have, so kind of makes sense why DRA would go that way. So it's a little bit of an in between where it's not quite a disk. So we have this different perspective on it. So it's not even really a claim either. It's like because of the abstraction, it's a little bit, it's something else also. It's there's additional layers of abstraction
Yeah.
to it. I don't know. I guess I guess what I'm trying to say is I guess I can see both sides to this. I mean, because either way, like you can, because of the way that DRA is going about this, it pushes this onto us, because they're doing it this way, right? Because they could have solved this by doing one-to-one. They could have required it being one-to-one, made it exactly like PVCs, but they didn't. So
yeah, Ryan, let me put a comment there. So the reason that there is a valid use case why they don't do one-to-one, and that's because some of the advanced use cases like NUMA alignment or PCIe route,
yeah.
they require both the devices to be in single claim so that they can match attributes across those devices, right? And that's why that one-to-one nature was not enforced in DRA.
Right, it makes sense. I'm saying that the idea of a claim is different in the world of storage than it is for devices. We are claiming something like with storage, but it's always going to be one thing because of how the device how the storage is life cycled. I keep trying to say device, but it's how the storage is life cycled. But the device world is completely different. So I don't know. We have an option here, I guess. Like it's really it's to go. So if you went with the option where like you have proposed here, it's more catering towards this device approach where like we have this world where there's an additional abstraction. It's different than storage. And then I think what Vladik is saying is to use the storage approach to devices to do kind of the way we've been doing things in the past. So using devices kind of like the way we're looking at storage.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct. I think I mean it makes sense that we would be able to solve the problem if we view this as how other storage things are modeled. The only slight concern I would have is on repetitiveness in the API. So for example, if you're using like 10 devices, you need to repeat this 10 times within a resource claim. That doesn't make sense to me. you mention this once here and then repeat it in the devices section.
But I mean, from text point of view, you would have the same amount of text in eventually because you're requesting this device. Doesn't matter where. It's just a logical separation that you would gain.
I'm not sure. I think from text perspective, we will have this section repeat 10 times, right? So this will be unique and this doesn't change. But from text perspective, we repeat this every time we want to request a device.
So I mean, the solution for this is to create another section that that would just reference that resource claim. I don't know, call it something else.
So like the claim which is now highlighted, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I think the device name can be reused to reference the requests inside the resource claim, which needs to be still somehow referenced. So, for example, just by leaving the claim name, right, and that you don't need the request field, for example.
Yeah. I mean, we can do that. We can have a device name here as a field, which could reference the request. And then we could have the claim name, which could then, reference the claim. Is that what you're suggesting, Hugo?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm also hearing from Vladik as well.
Yeah.
Please correct me.
Can you type it so we'll be on the same page, please?
Oh yeah, let me do that.
Maybe to the doc notes or something.
Yeah. Let's take this. So I think we could do. Oh, sorry, I took the wrong section. Well,
By the way, I may miss this, but did we also include the device class?
so the device class is encapsulated within this request name.
Okay.
Here. Request name, request class. And this one is because multiple requests within the template could have different device classes associated with them. So it has to be on a per request basis. Okay, so this is option number 1. And then I'm putting in option number 2 here.
Before continuing, just something that I don't understand. I mean, let's say we will take I mean, why can't we generate this template on the fly? That's what I'm asking, I guess.
Yeah, so we cannot do that because, so if you look at this template spec, these are the only fields, sorry, let me point to the right one. Okay, these are the only fields that we have been using till now because it maps to device plugins. But there are a lot of advanced use cases where there are additional fields in this spec, which are optional. So now let's assume that if you want to have those use cases enabled in KubeVirt devices as well, then you have to map all of those fields 1:1 with the request section in the VMI spec, right, to support those features. So an example I will give you is there is a feature called admin access device, where if a device needs admin access, DRA will provision it with admin access, right? For some reason, let's say if we want to support that feature in KubeVirt, then you have to find a way to specify that field and its configuration in VMI spec if we generated the resource claim, and then pass that field from VMI spec to the generated resource claim, and then have that DRA provision that device for us. So I would much rather let the user find a way to template this and then reference this request name in the VMI spec than us having to manage it.
I mean, I don't know. It feels like
Vladik,
it feels like we're putting it on the yeah. Sorry.
Okay, we were about to say it. Like, you feel like that the abstraction is putting too much pressure on KubeVirt to essentially communicate what the device is?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was kind of, yeah, okay, I want all of these devices and I do want them to be grouped or whatever. But now I'm losing this ability to express what I actually want on the VMI.
I think you don't lose it, because at least in our, so first of all, I need to admit, when I was going over the DRA proposal over weekend, I was very confused, and I had to take, I think, at least 5 takes on the proposal in order to understand that it's so generic, and that's why it's so complex to understand, in my opinion. But here, I think the pods will be, like, for pod user, it will be very hard to understand what is actually defined in the end. But here we have the benefit of having the device tracked, and under that we have the GPUs, vGPUs, or host device, right? So that will basically give you like what type of device it is, and then how much of them you have it, and they will just reference that it is from this complex resource claim.
Yeah, that's true. And the other thing is, I admit, like, we are losing visibility on what device exactly we are requesting. And I want to fill in the context from DRA discussion in Kubernetes. They also feel the same pain. But the approach that they are taking is that we will make the API rich enough to handle all the cases. And then for simplistic cases like give me a Tesla T4 GPU, we will have some kind of admission webhook that converts that string into this whole spec section that can be automatically generated on VMI admission, right? For example. So that is the trade-off we can discuss. Like, for example, if you have a device name T4, Tesla T4, right? And if you want to automatically convert that into this whole resource claim section, you can easily have an admission webhook that does this now automatically. So this is actually an ongoing discussion, which is why if we follow the pod spec API close enough, we can leverage the same work that they are doing to make this easier in the future.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. We need to start somewhere, so All right, let's go back to the examples that you were laying out.
Okay, so the second example is put request name here. Okay. So this is, yeah, example number 2. I think that's what I understood, Lobo. Did you have any other example that I missed?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Well, I mean, you don't. Let me see. Give me a second. Yeah, I think it's not clear that the PGP in the first example, right? In the first example, it's not clear that the PGP request name is actually request in the template. So maybe you want to also write the template, I guess. What do you say?
No, sorry, I don't follow. So you're saying it's not clear that the device name is the request name here?
No. I mean, like it's not clear where the PGP request name is coming from, right?
Yeah.
And that would be in the template, and we don't see the template. So that's what I'm saying, that probably we want to just also outline how the resource claim template would look like.
Right. So let me put the originals option as well here. Yeah, so I'll rephrase what you're saying. So in this particular section, it is abundantly clear that we are using this template and this request within that template. But here, we kind of can say that we are using this template, but it's not clear that what request from that template is coming. So
No. That's not what I mean. I mean that. Anyone reading this without the knowledge will be like, oh, okay, so there is a device name. Okay, I see that's the resource claim, right? Or pardon me, the class name. That's the claim name. Sorry, the claim name. That's the resource claim reference. But where is the device name coming from? And that device name is coming from the template, which we don't see on the picture. So that's what I'm saying. We should probably write the template, which will show the device, the request, right?
yeah, do you want this template to be here in front of us right now?
Right, yes.
Yeah, let me do that. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So to be honest,
Because
go ahead.
I think that's the important part, right? Because of that, you have the object somewhere already created. You just reference the template. You don't really see what the device or the requests are there, and you need to be able to somehow reference them.
Yeah, that is correct. And
So I don't understand. Do you want the template to be always part of the VMI definition, or I'm not sure.
No. Just here as an example to see that you need to have the template beforehand. You need to know beforehand the request name, and then you can reference it from the VMI.
It's so difficult to put all of this on the user. It's just, to me, it's crazy. I'll tell you why. I mean, because for example, if you'll take networking, right? So what you have is a interface that you present to the VM, and then you have a network, right? And then that network could use an attachment definition, like a network attachment definition, and it would, on the background, can request a device. So all you care about, yeah, I want to have an interface and I want to be connected to the network. And here it's becoming so confusing. I mean, I don't even know, like the claim that I'm making, if that device is part of the template. I have no idea. So if yeah, so much to put in the user. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree, Vladek. I think like to maybe if I can try and summarize like your first solution, it would be kind of in the spirit of not solving that problem, Vladek. So no, it's keep putting it on the user, like not solve it at all in KubeVirt. And I guess another way to say that is like let DRA solve the problem, or I guess take the blame for it. And then that like that's kind of one of the approaches here. Like we can or maybe we can look at a few different solutions, but I think like I don't think we're gonna solve that part, Vladek. I think if KubeVirt were to try and make this easier on the user, we would be going in a different direction than I think what DRA might want to do to solve this long term. And so I agree with you with your perspective on this. It definitely is putting a lot of pressure on the user. But I think what we probably want to do is not put the pressure on ourselves to solve it for the user. You can kind of keep it on DRA and just kind of like follow what they do, and we can document that this is being worked on in DRA, and this, the abstractions are not ideal for the user, but here's where you need to go to DRA's documentation to figure this out, and we're going to follow it along. Follow along with what they do. I don't know. Does that make you feel any better, Vladek? Because I mean, I feel what you're I feel what you're saying. I don't think I just don't think we can solve. I'm afraid if we try and solve this, I like for the user here. I think it worries me because I hate to like I guess like as a good software engineer, I hate to put this on the user, but I don't think I think we will putting ourselves in a world of pain if we do, because DRA can go in a different direction. We really don't know, and then put us into trouble.
Yeah, I think this is the main part that we don't know. I mean, they eventually can pivot and do something else. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's start somewhere, I guess. Let's.
Yeah, and hopefully, if we can get some experience in alpha, we can propose a method to make this better to folks in DRA. The prerequisite of that would be to start somewhere. So I would agree with that approach.
Yeah, and this also isn't to like knock on anyone DRA. Like it's not like I think the solution for DRA is really good. It's like I think the problem is really complex, like we highlighted earlier, is that there's a big difference between devices and like the way we look at storage. And it's also, I would say, there's also a difference between a claim for storage and a claim for a device. And we're sort of looking at them as the same too. Like there's all these things here that are, I think, are known and need to be sorted out. And it's sort of like that's what's being worked on, is like, how do we reconcile the complexity there, this system complexity, low level system complexity for devices, and elevate that properly to the cluster level. That's sort of like I think the challenge, which is a really challenging problem.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think
I totally agree with this.
Yeah.
I totally agree with this. I mean, but normally, I mean, we would say that, okay, so these are the use cases for a VM user, right? I mean, so the VM user would want to have a GPU, and it would want to have, for example, a network that is correlated to that GPU, and we wanted to have in the same NUMA node, right? So that's all correct. I mean, that's all understandable. But these are like the use cases that are coming from the user. So, I mean, if this is a VM user, we would exactly know what he wants, right? And here, what we're doing is we're trying to, and I understand why we're doing this, because there are lots of unknowns, but we're coming from a different place. I mean, we're saying that, yeah, okay, there are so many use cases in DRA that we don't know how to express them. But I don't know if this is a wrong approach. So then we're trying to make everything available. But I don't know if this is the right approach, because I mean, maybe we need to come from what the VM user would want. And then, okay, yeah, I mean, if he wants certain feature, we can make it available. I mean, the same way that we're not making all of LibVirt API available, right? Just straight ahead, go ahead and use whatever LibVirt is presenting. No, we're not doing this, right? Because we know exactly what we want, and we are kind of opinionated towards and inclined towards the what the user wants. So
I think in the past that's what was done, though, because like when we looked at how we could express devices previously, static. That was like Kubernetes solution, and that fit KubeVirt's needs perfectly. It's the dynamic nature that just breaks everything. I think it's it's sort of like new territory. I mean, it's like we're to do this dynamically and distributed. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of OpenStack. Like, maybe you can recall, Vladik. Like, how would you be able to express? It would be like, how would you be able to express ahead of time um, the state of an underlying device, before it's allocated? Like, it would be like how, I don't know how
yeah,
OpenStack did
there
this.
everything was easier. I mean, you would have a, you know exactly what NUMA do you want, and you say that I want one NUMA node, like, or two NUMA nodes. So if that's one NUMA node, it would just go to the nodes and see which devices are available on that particular NUMA node, and then it would say, okay, yeah, let's allocate those, create a claim, and nobody else could touch those devices, and go ahead. Like, so it was a different approach. So I didn't think it's comparable. But here, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that maybe some of these options that DRA has, they need to come from us and not from a hidden template. That's what concerns me. I mean, maybe we can generate this template according to what we want. So we saw that, okay, there are 2 devices or 5 devices or 10 devices, and these devices, they must be together, or they must be grouped. So we need to express this API somehow in our VMI API, saying that, okay, group those devices, and then we'll generate a correct template. And here we're
So you're
saying,
saying,
no, yeah.
I'm sorry, we say come from us, like, would you, so like, I'm trying to equate that to a pod. So that would be like, so from a VMI, from a pod perspective, you'd expect to see the device topology directly embedded in the pod or the VMI spec.
No. Well, what I'm
Is that
saying
what
is
you
that,
mean?
no, what I'm saying is that, so we requested the device A, and we requested device B, and we also requested a network of some sort, right? So, and then we could have a tag that, okay, all of these has to be combined. And then what we'll do eventually, we'll generate a template that's saying, yeah, please request this device, and this device, they have to be grouped, or something like that.
But that, so that would be like but that, to express that though, that would be like a field on the pod. Like these are grouped devices, like a new API in the pod almost. Like
Not on the pod,
more
not on the pod, like on the VMI and then one of our controllers will create a template, something like
but
that.
wouldn't you want this? I guess I'm trying to think of like, because I'm trying to include the pod case in here. Like, would not so I'm probably on the VMI case. I'm trying to include the pod case, which is like, would a user how would someone express this on the pod on a pod, or is it you're saying this is only a VMI case?
Yeah, VMI case. Yeah, because on the pod, I mean, how can you? I mean, there's no controller that would generate the template. I mean, everything would have to be prepared before.
Okay. Oh, so it'd have to be like a deployment or something, maybe.
Lugo.
Some sort of large objects. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Lugo, you got your hand raised.
Yeah, sorry. I did have a look at the API once again, and like this kind of need to reference the claim and then the request. Originally, it's coming from the fact that you can distribute the devices across multiple pods, or not pods, sorry, containers. But for us, it's not the case, right? Like, is there a case where you would want to allocate only some of the resources in the end for the pod or for the VMI? I don't think so, right? So maybe at the end of the day, you could just directly reference the request and not claim and then request. At least that's how I see it.
I don't understand. So the template could generally ask for I don't know, Tesla A100 and the H200s. I'm just making stuff up. And then how do you know which one goes where? Or you would
So-
allocate one here and two there.
So the template will have the request, and the request needs to have a unique name within the claim, and so you could just so you would reference the unique name. Does it make sense?
Maybe you can type it because I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me try. But I think we can leave it. I mean in alpha, let's do this what we have here on the doc. Let's maybe try to see if we can simplify it for beta, for example. I mean, so what we told with Vladik was also to definitely join this group, the working group for devices in Kubernetes, and try to ask at least for the node local data instead of the status, because I think that could at least for us it could mean a lot faster allocations and less API cluttering.
Yeah, I agree. Let's start somewhere. And so which example are we taking then?
So for
Right,
me, I would say, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll go after you.
Yeah, so for me, with the device name plus claim reference.
Uh-huh.
Was that option 1 or 2? I don't. In my mind, it's option 1 and 2. I don't know which one's that.
It is option 2. I've highlighted it here.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly what is highlighting.
Okay. Yeah. So then So then, in an absence of a claim, we just fall back to a device plugin.
Well, you actually are providing the claim name, so it's clear if you are using claim or the device plugin. So if you, in absence of the claim name, yeah,
Okay.
in absence of the claim name, you just do the old way.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
No, I think if I were to vote, I would make this a request name and not reuse the field. That way we make an explicit decision, and make it explicit to the user that this is the DRA stuff.
Um, I
And
don't know.
that's
I mean,
option 1LA.
Well, slight modification to option 1 where this is indented. We can bring this back here. Yeah, this would just be a small modification to what Lugo suggested, but with an explicit, not reusing the same field.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
why
Let's see.
not
I think that, yeah, I think we cleared the first problem of not really understanding that each claim can have requests, and then between the claims you can have this not distinct names, actually the same names, right? So that you actually need the fully qualified name if I try to use some similar words.
Yeah, sorry, Lugo, I didn't follow.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, like the first proposal which we made on the PR for review, I think we now understand why that doesn't work, right? I think we have a common understanding now. So I think whatever we decide with these options, I feel like if you just lay out these options, we can just pick the one we like the most. But in the end, it doesn't really matter because we know that we need those kind of request name and claim name to have the fully qualified name for the device.
Correct. Yeah, it's just matter of taste which one we pick now.
My vote was for whatever one is gonna give us the least exposure to DRA changes. I don't know if one in particular is that.
Least exposure to DRA changes. So you mean if DRA comes in and breaks one of these things, we should not be impacted?
It's like whatever is like so it would be, I guess the way to put it is the option that probably pushes like the most complexity onto the user and the least complexity onto KubeVirt.
Yeah, that I think that would be the one in the design document, right?
Yeah, to me that just gives us the least exposure to whatever DRA is going to do. I think we should take it up with the group. I mean, I think like we were talking about earlier, Vladik, like to me those are all interesting things to talk about. And to me, we can at least start with whatever it is that that reflects their complexity now, and then we can change. And if we want to change it, we can go talk to them and try and change it there.
Yeah, or come up with a way to generate that. Yeah. Okay. I mean, for me, this option 2 is fine. But yeah.
Sorry, just to clarify, do you mean option number 2 or like option 1? You also agree is fine.
I think this option, the option 2, like the one that
Option 2,
highlighted,
okay.
yeah, seems like.
Okay.
I mean, it's most reasonable to me. I mean, I would really
Okay.
keep the device name, but I don't mind.
Okay. I'm going to remove all the craft out here. Okay. So I think we are left with these two.
Yeah, it sounds like option 2 is the most popular. I think Kubo, Vlanik are option 2.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay, guys. I think sounds good to me. We can. I can change the design document to reflect this. And I'll also try to go over this recording again and summarize our discussion for future reference in the notes here.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Thanks, folks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
See you. Bye bye.